Hello and welcome to another video from Intuitive Racing. We have received many calls and emails asking about various problems regarding their factory KTM clutch. So we decided to try to address most of these issues regarding the factory clutch, and at the same time we will explain the similarities and differences between the IRP triple grip clutch and the factory KTM disc clutch that fits the KTM 50s from 2013 till present. Just as a side note, the triple grip clutch will technically fit all KTM 50s from years 2009 up till present. The only thing you will need to do is either modify the factory cover or acquire a new aftermarket clutch cover that provides enough room for bikes prior to 2013. First thing you will notice is the size difference. The triple grip clutch is much smaller in diameter for less rotating mass. The triple grip clutch weighs about 7 ounces lighter than the factory KTM clutch, allowing more horsepower to go directly to the rear wheel. Accelerating a larger and heavier clutch absorbs more energy than a smaller and lighter clutch. This reduces available horsepower to the rear wheel. And every time the young rider rolls on the throttle, this principle is applied, especially since the 50cc engine has limited horsepower. What you see here is a complete disassembly of each clutch. I will go through each part of both clutches to give you a complete description and explanation. First, as you can see, the main gear for the factory clutch is cast iron and is a separate part that attaches to the steel bottom plate with fit bolts and 2 conical spring washers that are necessary for dampening. The 2 conical spring washers are sandwiched between the bottom plate and the gear of the factory KTM clutch. The conical spring washers are compressed 100 thousandths when the fit bolts are tightened. The amount of pressure the factory conical spring washers exert is 130 pounds. If the pressure exerted by the balls within the ball cage and the pressure plate exceed 130 pounds, the bottom plate will travel, allowing excess slippage that is detrimental to the performance and leads to excessive heat. Using a spring tester, you can see the factory spring washers measure 130 pounds at the installed height. The heavy-duty washers from Intuitive Racing measure 173 pounds at that same installed height. We recommend the washers should be replaced about every 50 hours to avoid a potential problem. Unfortunately, KTM didn't think to offer replacement conical spring washers and therefore don't even address the issue. Intuitive Racing's engineers have designed an improved set of conical spring washers that are 25% stronger to provide additional resistance during full throttle engagement, thereby eliminating the overslip and a lazy clutch. Intuitive Racing spring washers fit directly onto the factory KTM clutch without modification, eliminating the need to buy a new clutch. The triple grip main gear is incorporated within the drive hub and the lever support. This part is CNC machined billet, needing virtually zero maintenance for the life of the clutch. You will notice the gear has the largest diameter of any part of the clutch. The next thing you'll notice are the levers that are used on the triple grip. These are the primary difference between the factory KTM clutch and the triple grip clutch. The patented 5-lever, 5-spring system centrifugally engages the pressure plate that clamps the friction disc as the RPMs increase. The levers provide superior force necessary to properly transmit the power, and the compression springs can be adjusted to the desired stall speed. However, the triple grip clutch leaves our factory pre-adjusted to the correct stall speed for most applications. The factory KTM clutch uses a ball and ramp system that relies on steel balls to slide up a ramp within the ball cage as the RPMs increase. The ramps are very short due to physical space constraints. The problem occurs when the balls reach the top of the ramp and cannot physically go any further. The frictions may not fully engage or lock up because of excess air gap. This can happen because of several reasons. Primarily, the friction discs will wear, creating excessive air gap, which the ball travel cannot make up. Also, the pressure plate can and will wear grooves created by the ball sliding up the ramp, pushing against the pressure plate, which pushes against the ball cage against the frictions. Another concern is that the ball cage is made from cast aluminum. It can wear, creating a deeper groove within the pocket the ball sits in. Add in the issues with the conical spring washers and you soon realize that the ball and ramp system is very unforgiving and limited by its nature because it doesn't take complete advantage of the centrifugal force being created. In other words, once the balls reach the end of the ramp, no amount of RPMs creating more centrifugal force will help lock up the factory clutch. In fact, this would only create extra heat and excessive slipping, and when this happens, you're done racing. The triple grip lever system has a mechanical advantage. The levers will exert greater clamping force against the pressure plate as RPMs increase. When wear occurs on the friction disc, the levers will simply continue to rotate, exerting force and giving you much greater adjustability along with extra life on your frictions. Our state-of-the-art proprietary carbon fiber friction discs are 100% carbon fiber bonded to a steel core and will last much longer than the bronze frictions found on the factory KTM clutch. In addition, the carbon fiber frictions will withstand the tremendous heat these clutches produce. Another thing you'll notice is that the bike is sometimes hard to start, especially when it's cold. You will also experience a dragging feel when rolling the bike. This is due to the fact that there are 8 total surface areas within the factory KTM clutch with very little air gap. There really is nothing you can do about this using the factory KTM clutch. We recommend starting the bike with the rear wheel off the ground. And be careful kick-starting the bike when it's cold because the Kickstarter springs can break very easily. Regarding the factory KTM bronze frictions, you sometimes will notice metal speckles in your oil even though you may have just changed it. This is due to the wear of the bronze frictions. The particles that wear off and get into the oil, which then may get into the clutch bearings. This may not be catastrophic, but will certainly put unnecessary wear on the bearings and create extra friction that does nothing but slow the bike down. Intuitive Racing has developed carbon fiber frictions for the factory KTM clutch to help alleviate the constant overheating and help reduce the drag that you will experience when starting or pushing the bike when it's cold. We use superior material to largely eliminate the breaking of the discs often found from the factory KTM bronze frictions, which is often caused by notching of the fit bolts. In addition to the superior heat capabilities, as the IRP carbon fiber's frictions wear, the material will not damage the bearings. Intuitive Racing has manufactured aftermarket fit bolts to try to alleviate this problem as well. We use superior military-grade chromoly steel alloy that is heat-treated and centerless ground. Along with the fit bolts, Intuitive Racing has also developed an aftermarket pressure plate using military-grade chromoly steel that is heat-treated for long life and less maintenance. One other performance part we created for the factory KTM clutch is the 20,000th Racing Shim. Every owner of a KTM 50SX with factory KTM disc clutch should own at least one of these. The shim basically doubles the life of the frictions. When the clutch is new, the air gap can vary from 25 thousandths to 40 thousandths due to the manufacturing tolerances. As the air gap increases and the balls slide up the ramps can no longer lock the clutch up and the frictions are slipping, which usually starts right around 60 thousandths air gap. Rather than buying a new expensive set of replacement frictions, you can simply install our Racing Shim to take up the excess air gap, which increases the life of the frictions. KTM developed a clicker system within the ball cage to allow you to adjust 3 of the 6 springs to increase or decrease the stall speed of the clutch. Using a clutch cover that has the access hole for external adjustment makes this process easier, which is a good thing because you will be constantly adjusting the factory KTM clutch. The clicker system ranges from 0 to 17 clicks, which at that point the spring coil binds. The fact that there are only 3 adjusting springs are also a problem because that essentially makes the other 3 non-adjusting springs practically useless. Intuitive Racing has developed aftermarket springs that have superior stainless steel material and has a 30 thousandths greater free length. The greater free length allows the non-adjusting springs to preload so that they are compressing in unison with the adjusting springs so that the load is evenly dispersed, thereby reducing the potential for hot spots. Because IRP springs are made from a superior material than the factory KTM springs and that the fact that they are a bit taller, you will need fewer clicks to achieve the proper setting to correctly dial in your stall speed. Usually 4 or 5 clicks will be the correct stall speed setting. As I mentioned earlier, there are clutch covers available that have the adjustment hole in the cover. KTM SXS models come standard with this option. One of the advantages of using an Intuitive Racing cover is to allow you to get more oil into the case than any other cover. And this includes factory KTM or any other aftermarket cover. This is extremely important because the factory KTM clutch takes up so much room that there is very little space left for oil to keep the clutch cool. Given the fact that these bikes are notoriously hard on clutches and heat is always a worry, especially when you combine the lack of oil capacity with the chronic air gap problems, the grooving and slippage issues found within these bikes. Of course, once you start to overheat, you'll run into a host of other issues including cooking the oil and excessive heat transferring back into the motor and stator, and as we all know, heat robs power. Once again, the overheating issue has been largely eliminated with the triple grip clutch. Our positive lockup design for less excessive slip along with our smaller footprint creates the extra room for added lubricant capacity. In summary, the factory KTM ball and ramp clutch design has serious limitations and is very unforgiving. The excess slipping is a huge detriment if you are racing. The reality is, if your factory bronze frictions wear a modest amount, you probably won't have too much of a problem finishing the race. Or if your pressure plate has a small groove in it, you're still probably okay for the immediate future. Perhaps the ball cage starts to slightly wear, or if your conical spring washers start to collapse under pressure and heat, or if your fit bolts get notched and the friction discs hang up. However, if all these things are happening at the same time, you're in for some major problems. All of these parts are designed to make the factory KTM clutch work as good as it can, being given the obvious drawbacks of the basic design. But if you are looking for superior performance over the factory KTM clutch and less maintenance than the factory clutch, the triple grip is the way to go. So you basically have three choices. You can run the stock clutch as it came with the bike and constantly replace the parts with OEM parts. Or you can continue to run the factory KTM clutch but use premium replacement parts from Intuitive Racing designed to give you added performance with less maintenance. Or third, your best option, install a triple grip clutch. We guarantee you will not regret it. The choice is yours. The performance is Intuitive Racing. If you have any questions, please call us or visit us at www.inturace.com. Thank you for watching.